Hey guys, it's Megan. Welcome back to another video. Today we are back in my home library because it's summer. I'm out of school, so I'm not going to school just to film a video, sorry. But anyway, let's talk about all the books I read in the month of May. So May was not as good a reading month for me as April. I think I read 5 books in April plus like DNF 2 more, and I read 2,400 pages I figured up. But in the month of May, I only read 1,700 pages, and I say only, but that's still a lot. Plus we went to Florida and took our baby to Disney World and a wedding, and it was a lot. Plus we went back home, which is like 2 hours away for a weekend. So we were like really busy and traveling and stuff in May. And it was the end of the school year. I had a lot to do for school. So the fact that I got to read 1,700 pages is still really exciting. So I read 3 full books and DNF 2 more that I read like a lot of. So let's talk about the books I actually did finish first. Or should we do the DNFs first? You know what? Let's do the books I finished first this time. So the first book that I finished is This Is Not the Jess Show. And I do not remember who it's by. It was pretty short. It was young adult. And it's very similar to an older like 90s, early 2000s movie that I cannot tell you because if I did, it would give it away. But it's kind of sci-fi because I don't even want to give away too much of the premise, but basically there's a girl who's leading a normal life. Everything is totally normal until one day her friend drops something out of her backpack and it looks like a black little device with an apple on the back of it. But this is in the 1990s. So it's the 90s and basically she finds what is clearly an iPhone. So you're like, how is this possible? How does this exist? What's going on? So that's all I can say about it. But it was actually really good. It was fast paced. I enjoyed the characters. I really liked the plot. It makes you actually ask some like big kind of existential questions about life and the universe and reality and stuff. So that was really cool. It was short. It didn't take very long. It only took me a few days to get through. I listened to the audiobook and I gave it 4 stars because of my enjoyment level, basically, and I do recommend it. Then I read a book when I got COVID. I don't think I mentioned this in another video or not, but I had COVID. Yeah, so I had to miss school for like 3 days because we have to stay home for 5 days, and I missed like a Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So yeah, I had COVID. That was a thing. Got it from the baby because he got it from daycare. But anyway, so while I had COVID, I read an entire book, which is Arm of the Sphinx by Josiah Bancroft. And this book, okay, so let me just tell you about my expectations for it. I read the first book, which was Sinless of Sins. This is the Books of Babel series. I read Sinless of Sins last year and I was disappointed. I think I gave it like 3 or 3.5 stars. It was not as good as everybody said it was. It's so hyped. But I hear that like books 2 and 3, especially book 3, was like really, really good. And there's 4 books. The series is finished now. And I hear the 4th one's not very good either. But anyway, I thought, you know, I'll give it one more chance because I could see where it could be interesting and the writing was pretty good. People say it's kind of almost like a modern classic. So I thought, okay, I'll try it. It's like exactly 400 pages, I think. And I was like, all right, let's go for it. Oh, sorry, 398. It was amazing. It was amazing. This is so well written. It's so like, you're on the edge of your seat. You just want to know what's going to happen next. The pacing, the storytelling, everything about this book was pretty much perfect. The only reason I didn't give it 5 stars is just because the plot is so weird. It's just weird. Like, I think if it were, I don't know, just a little bit better somehow plot wise, then obviously I would have given it 5 stars. But it was so good. Everything about it, the storytelling, the characters, the writing style, everything was just amazing. So I gave this book 4.5 stars and it's definitely probably like the 3rd best book I've read this year, I would say. So I immediately, like literally like 100 pages in, I bought book 3, and then like 200 pages in, I bought book 4. But I don't want to read them too fast because I did almost get burnt out because I read this book in like 3 days, which for a lot of people is probably not even that fast. But for me, it was a lot of reading. It was a very long book with, I don't know, it's got like really small font, I think. So anyway, it took me a lot longer than I thought it was going to read this book. But I didn't want to get burnt out on it, and I'm so looking forward to book 3 because everyone says it's so good. It's called The Hod King, and I already know kind of what's going to be happening in it. I don't know if I'm going to like the plot as well as I did with this one, just because I kind of know what they're doing, and it almost sounds more like book 1 again. But anyway, in case you don't know, this series is basically about this man named Sinlin, who goes to this legendary tower that everyone in his world knows about called the Tower of Babel that's so tall and it's just massive, and each ring of the tower, they call them ringdoms. Each ringdom is like a different theme kind of. There's something different on that level, almost like a video game level kind of. I mean, it's not video game-esque at all. It's very like steampunk in the aesthetic of it, but as you can tell by this mechanical arm on the front of it. And he loses his wife as soon as he gets to the tower. He's on his honeymoon. He just got married. Everyone says make sure to not like take your eyes off your wife because you'll lose her and you'll never find her again. And that's exactly what happens. They don't even get inside the tower. They're in the little market outside and they lose her. He loses her immediately and spends the whole rest of the book trying to find her. I don't know if he's gonna, I don't know. I don't want to spoil anything, but even if he does find her, I think they're both going to be such different people because he's already been in this tower for like a year or like months or whatever. So I think he's going to be such a different person that it's not going to matter if he finds her or not in the end, or he might even fall in love with someone else or who knows. But anyway, love this series. Definitely going to continue. So the last full book that I read was The Dark Days Club. Also, I don't remember who wrote this one, like Alice Goodman, maybe something like that. Anyway, I only read this book because I did that scavenger hunt video. If you've not seen my scavenger hunt video, I'll link it down below. But I basically went through all of my bookshelves and picked out books that were answers to prompts for a scavenger hunt that I found on Kayla's channel from Books and Lala. And it's not her original tag, I don't think, or either her prompts or anything. She got it from somewhere else too. But anyway, I did it and it was so much fun, but it led to me having to find a book with the word day in the title. And that's what I had to read. I had to read a book with the word day in the title. And I looked up on Goodreads to see what was on my want to read list. And this was one of them, The Dark Days Club. So this is what I wound up reading. It's 544 pages. It was much longer than I expected. I did read it on my little tablet thing, which I've really enjoyed reading on. It's like a giant Kindle, basically. It's like a little Samsung tablet. So I got it from my public library and read it on here, which I actually really enjoyed reading it as an ebook. I feel like I read it faster because it was an ebook, if that makes any sense. So this book is historical. It's set in the 1800s, like 1812 actually. It's set in 1812 over the span of maybe just even like a few weeks, I think it is, like May of 1812 in England. And it's very historically accurate, very, very historically accurate. The author did a lot of research going into it. So I did like that aspect of it. Also, it's fantasy. It's like paranormal. Like there's some, she's got to become part of this Dark Days Club. There's these people called reclaimers. Turns out she's a reclaimer, of course, and they fight these bad guys called deceivers. Deceivers like steal energy. They like leech energy from people, sometimes killing them, sometimes not. And there's like different types of deceivers that feed on like different types of different forms of energy from people. And anyway, she's one of the ones that can reclaim people's souls, kind of, if they have been if they're like going to be a spawn of one of these deceivers. And anyway, so it turns out her mother was a deceiver. Everyone thinks her mother was a traitor. So she, isn't supposed to follow in her mother's footsteps, but she gets a letter from her mom. Years later, obviously, she's like 18 years old and her mom died like way back. But anyway, she's, like I said, she's 18 years old. So I don't know that this book is young adult or adult. I think it could really be enjoyed by probably either one. I will say, so as much, I did like it, especially the first like 100 or so pages. I was really intrigued. I thought it was really well written. The whole thing is well written. However, this book is much too long. It is way too long. And I saw some reviews on Goodreads that agreed with me. This book is maybe 200 pages too long. I think 350 pages would have been plenty to accomplish everything she needed to accomplish. There's a lot of just like, I don't even know. I don't even know what the extra stuff was, but there just wasn't enough of the main plot. Like there was just, I don't know, other random stuff I didn't care about like high society, I guess. I don't know. So maybe if you really want historical, more so than the paranormal part of it, you would like that for that reason. But to me, it was way too long. And I wound up only giving this book 3.5, I think. Yeah, I think I gave it 3.5 stars because it was fine. And I thought it was going to be a 4-star. I thought when I first started, I had very low hopes because I'd just come from reading Arm of the Sphinx, which was so good. But then I had high hopes because the first 100 pages were so good. But then I decided, no, too long. So I'd say 3.5 stars. It's probably still worth reading, especially if you like this time period and paranormal stuff. Okay, so those are all the books I read, but let's talk about my DNFs because I still read a lot of pages. I DNF'd The Name of All Things by Jen Lyons. This is the sequel to Ruin of Kings. If you remember from last month, I read Ruin of Kings last month in April, and I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. However, this book, it's so bad. It's so bad. It's nothing like the first one. It doesn't follow the same characters. It's about just like these people that love horses, and I didn't care about that at all. It was slow paced. Nothing was happening. Nothing that I even cared about. Like I said, the main characters weren't even there. I hear that it's more of a setup for book 3, but there's 3 more books after this, books 3, 4, and 5. And I did look at the very last page, and I see that this is going to be a setup for the next book. But that doesn't mean that I should have to read 500 pages of terribly boring stuff that I don't care about to get to the good part. And I refuse to do that. especially when I read that book 3 might not really even get any better. Book 1 had so much promise, but honestly, I don't think this author is a very good writer. She's not like George R.R. Martin, and people are comparing it to, you know, Game of Thrones and stuff, and it's not. It's not. It's the same structure as the first book, where there's like 2 different perspectives telling the story in different timelines. Well, no, actually, it's the same timeline this time with the footnotes and stuff, and it's just like, well, but the reasoning for why it's like that is just kind of silly. Like, they just have to make up a reason for it to be the same format as the first book. But the fact that it doesn't follow the same main character as the first one is just beyond me, especially when this character is not interesting at all. But in the first one, yeah, there was a lot of body switching, soul swapping, people that are reincarnated as other people, and it's really hard to keep track of who was who. But this one doesn't have so much of that, which I would even be fine if it had that, because at least that would make it more interesting. But this one just didn't have anything. I made it to like 250 pages in, and if you see anything about how big this book is, I mean, that's still, I made it like really far, and these pages are like huge. It took me like 2 or 3 minutes per page to read these things. So I spent a long time reading this book. So it's basically like I read a whole other book when I read this, but I'm DNFing the series, and I'm sad about it because I did like the first one. The other series I'm DNFing that I am sure everyone will be very upset about is I'm DNFing the what's it called? The Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb. It is boring as all get out. It is so boring. I'm all about slow moving books. I like slow moving books. I love Anne Rice, and people say that hers are like completely slow moving, and some of them have hardly any plot, really. So this one, however, so this is the first book in the series. I read Assassin's Apprentice last month. I liked it. It was fine. I think I gave it 3 stars also. It was just fine. I felt like it was going to be some setup for hopefully a lot better things to come. Gotta stop and smell the books. But book 2 was called, you know, I don't even know, Royal Assassin? Yeah, book 2 is Royal Assassin. And I thought, okay, this is where stuff's really gonna start to happen. No, it is not. I read about 40% of this book, 30% of this book, which was 7 hours. And I was listening on like 1.5 times speed. So that's like 10 hours worth, basically. I listened to 10 hours, which is only a third because this thing's 30 hours long. I listened to a third of this audiobook for 10 hours and nothing happened. That could be a full book. A full book could be, in fact, the book I'm about to start is also 10 hours long, and it's a full book. And in this one, nothing happened. And I read online that it said like the last third or so gets really, really good. But most people agree that nothing really happens in the first part, and I'm just not about that. When I don't care about the characters or really the world, I don't even like the world. I don't like the magic system. There's like 2 types of magic, the skill and the wit, and neither one of them are really connected. One's like they approve of it, the other one they don't. One has to do with animal magic, one's like reading people's minds, I don't know, or like talking to people from a distance. It's just like those are the only 2 magical things in the world, and like I don't know, it's just a strange magic system to me that I guess I just don't really care about. So I don't care about the characters. I don't know. There was nothing that made me want to keep reading. It was easy to read, I guess. It was very easy just to listen to in the background, very mindless, I guess, because nothing was happening. So it was easy to keep track of, but I DNF'd it. I will try the Live Ship Traders series. I don't think I'll ever do another Fitz book ever again, though. I'm not going to try any of the other series in this. You know, she's got other trilogies in this realm of the Elderlings. I'm not going to try them. I will try the Live Ship Trader series because I bought the first one, Ship of Magic, and I hear that it's a lot better. The world's more expansive. There's more characters. Like, it's a whole cast of characters. I think it might even be like multiple point of view kind of story. If it is, then that's probably better because her other character, Fitz, was really boring. So I DNF'd it, and I don't understand the hype. People say it's one of the greatest fantasy trilogies of all time, and whew, boys, you have to, I guess, just be into really slow moving, boring books, because that's the only way that this would be a good story. And it's not even good. I do not get the hype. So anyway, I DNF'd that one. So those are all the books I read in May. Like I said, I still read 1,700 pages. So I'm still proud of that because I thought I was going to be really busy, but now it's summer and I have like 2.5 months to read to my little heart's content. And I'm going to be doing that. And I will show you guys a video very soon on my summer reading plans, like my whole summer TBR. I'm going to be pulling some books off my shelves. I pulled some books off the shelf at school and brought those home. I brought like 12 books home. Like, I think I'm going to read 12 books plus all the books I have here that I want to read. But anyway, and I'm going book shopping today. So, you know, let's just buy more books. Why not? Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you guys read in the month of May, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.